So with this one, we're just going to make a square, start off like that. And again, what you can do, you can press the eyedropper by pressing I. And what I can do, I can go to this other stroke and just click, left click. And what it does, it copies the same style or the same stroke or color, whatever it is, and it copies it to this shape that we have selected. So we have this shape. We're going to press the direct selection tool with A. Select these two, and we're going to drag these in. You can see if you're in CC, you'll get these corner widgets, and you can actually just drag them in like this, which is really handy. If you're not on CC, you can still select the whole shape, and if you go up the top here, you've got rounded corners. You can see up here, and if you do that, you can see the corners are actually getting rounded, which is pretty sweet. So you can select one and you can change it. So I'm just going to Control Z that, and I'm just going to select it again, drag these out, and then I'm going to go to my stroke key, and I'm going to click on these two middle buttons, which means round cap and round join. So that's going to make these bottom round. You can see how it's spiky, and if you click these, it's going to make it round, which I prefer. It looks a lot better. So now we have this badge. We can select this and make it longer if you want to play around with it, but we're just going to play around with this. So we've got this, and what I want to do first, select it, Control C, Control F to do a copy. So now I have a copy, and I'm just going to change the color to blue. I might actually change this color a little bit, make it a bit more lighter. Okay, that looks good. Sweet. So sometimes what I do is I press Shift X just to make it a stroke, so I can see the sketch in the back, and then I can come back later and I can select it and change it. So I'm just going to start building out these assets. I'm going to go back to my shape tool. I'm just going to bring this out. You can see if you right click, you get this arrow. If you just click that, left click it, you'll get this up, which is pretty sweet. And now we can just have this laying around, and we can just bring our shapes. So first off, I'm going to use a triangle. So we can just use a square. And actually not a square, we're going to use a star. So click and drag, and what we can do, if you press the up and down arrow, you can see that you got more joins and less joins. So we can make one with a lot of joins, or we can make one as a triangle. So we can do this, hold Alt and Shift to make it straight, and then I'm just going to drag it down the bottom here, and then we can align it. And just going to slowly build this up. Whoops. So I'm just going to drag this, transform it a little bit, and then Control C, Control F. So that copies it, and I'm just going to have a copy here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my transparency. So you see we've got our transparency. I can go and change it to multiply, and then I usually go down to like 40%. So it looks like there's, you know, an opening. It's like a camp tent site, which is pretty awesome. So we got that. I don't know why it's copying. Okay, we're just going to leave it. Yeah, sweet, that's fine. And now we're going to start building out some of the trees. So with the trees, we can just copy this triangle. Holding Alt, you can copy it. And then what we can do, press P for the pen tool, and I can click in the middle here. And you can see how that line is in the middle. Click that. And I don't know why it's... So what we can do, we click that, get the pen tool, and then drag this in. But I don't know why it's making shape for some reason. But then we can just build it like this, and then I'm going to copy it. And then what I usually do is I usually unite these. But sometimes if you want to get like a cool cut, like a cool gradient, you can just like do that. But I'm just going to leave it like this. And we're going to go to our Pathfinder. So we're going to go to Window, go down to Pathfinder. Just going to close this for a second. And you can see here we can actually unite shapes, or we can knock them out. So you can see the first one, click Unite, and that's going to unite this. So that's sweet. Now I'm just building out the trunk, just using a box and then aligning it. Then to make it a group, we're going to select that, press Control G. So now it's a group, which is pretty awesome. So we can make this smaller, and we can just scale that up. Just hold Shift, and if you drag in the corner, it's going to scale it up for the left hand side. And we're going to just bring these trees up. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hold Alt or Option, and I'm just going to copy them across. And then we'll put some to the back. And I'm going to play around with these points here so they're not all looking the same. You know, they can be a bit wonky. So I'm just using the direct selection tool now, just so we can get some variation in the trees. And actually, I'm going to change the color of this tent. Yeah, okay, that's sweet. I'm going to make sure this tent is in front. But I'm going to bring this stroke in front as well. So we've got that. So drag this into here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy all these trees. Just click and drag, select them all. Press O for the reflect tool. So what I can do, I'm going to click on the corner of the tent, hold Alt or Option, click that, press preview. And you can see that it's going to flip it on the other side. And then we're just going to go copy. And now it's copied directly from the middle of the shape and it's copied it on the other side. And then I'm just going to move these trees a little bit around just so it's not looking the same. And you can also select some of the trees, which I usually do. And I usually go to my transform and click on this little button here in the drop menu, and you can go flip horizontal or flip vertical. So if you flip horizontal, it's going to flip all those trees horizontally, which is awesome. So then we can get some variation and just play around with that, which is pretty awesome. So cool, we've got our trees, we've got our tent. Now it's going to build some mountains. You can use the circle tool again, the ellipse tool, and you can just drag like an oval shape out if you want. Just like this. You can play around with the points, doesn't have to be perfect. And then as you did before, select the two shapes, select the stroke, Shift M for the shape builder tool, and then we're just going to knock those out. Just like that. So we've got our two shapes and we've got our hills. Sweet. So we've got that. Now I'm just going to make a star. I love putting stars on things. Just makes it, you know, more cool, more vibrant. Gives it a bit of life. And then I'm just going to press P for the pen tool. Hold Shift and you can see what you can do. You can go 90 degrees. You can go 45 degrees and it's really sharp and it's direct on point. So that's really awesome tip to note when doing that. And again, I'm going to go to my stroke panel and just make those soft. And then I'm going to lock this and then. So what I did, I locked the stroke with Control or Command 2 and that locks a shape. And then I went to the back and I got the blue shape out and I brought it back up. So now we're going to put the type. What I want to do, I'm going to click on the stroke. And then what we're going to do, go to Object, go to Path, and go to Offset Path. Click that, and we want to click Preview. And what this does, if you hold Shift and drag it, or just drag with your mouse, it's going to increase the size or decrease it. And what I usually do is I bring it in like this. And then you can choose round or bevel, it doesn't really matter. I usually go round. And then I'm just going to press OK. And I want to turn the stroke off, / and I'm going to go to the type tool. If you go to the left hand side or you press T for the type tool, you can see you get all these options. So the type on the path, that's what you want. Select that and I'm going to click on this path. So now I'm going to click on it. I'm going to select my type up the top. Northwest is a free font, which is pretty nice, and we're going to use that. I'm going to press Control Shift and greater than, which is the little arrow on your keyboard, and then that makes it bigger. And then I'm going to type North Camp, and then I can select it all by pressing Control A or Command A, and then I can go Control Shift greater than, and it can make it really big really quickly. So we have that, and we're going to change the color because I want it to be white. So we've made it white, and what you can do now, if you press V for the selection tool, you can see you get these lines, and we can drag this out, and it allows us to move the type. So if we drag this line, it brings this. If we drag this one in, it cuts it off, but we can drag this or this one, and it will bring it in. You can also switch it as well if you want it on the inside. You can see we can make it opposite like that, but we want it on the outside, and we just want to make sure that it's level, just like that. And usually I'll get a box just to test it, and you can see it's kind of not level. I'm gonna get rid of the stroke, and you can see I just use this to try and get it to be on even. Okay, that's kind of even. Awesome. So we have our type, and then you can make it bigger if you want, or drag it out like that. So we've got our type, we've got our star, we've got our tent and our trees, and we're pretty much done with that badge. So it's pretty awesome. You can play around with the colors. These mountains are a little too light for my liking. I might make it a darker color. And just play around like that. Actually, I'm just gonna keep it green. Alright, that's fine. So we've got that badge, and now we're gonna go to the third one.